So here we are then into the Cold War Alpha, and honestly, I really enjoyed it. We're going to give our perspective of what we thought of the Alpha in terms of what we think of it competitively, whilst you watch my very average gameplay on Hardpoint. And this was, I think, my very first Hardpoint game. I don't go off or anything, but it was a good game. It was a very close ending. We sort of turned it on when we started to figure out the map and how Hardpoint was playing on it. And yeah, it was just a very enjoyable game, and one of my favorites that we had during the Cold War Alpha. But let's dive into it. I mean, first and foremost, and you know, I've been watching a lot of videos on a lot of the YouTubers of how they've been breaking it down, seeing what the pros think of it as well, of course. And honestly, a lot of people are sort of saying, yes, it is just an alpha. And I think that's what a lot of people have to remember, that this is an alpha build. And this is the build that everybody else was playing on when we first seen the reveal. However, of course, the beta is going to be different. It's probably going to look a little bit better. And then the actual game, when it comes out, especially when it goes onto PS5, Xbox Series X, goes onto PC, is going to look better again. So I honestly think that some stuff was an overreaction from everybody, but realistically, there is a lot of stuff in there as well that looks very, very good and very, very promising. Let's delve into it. We'll go with the maps first. Let's talk about Moscow because we're actually on it. I think it's actually a very, very good map. Just as a standard, it's very, very solid. It has that typical simple 3-lane system with little interjections where you can go in and out in between them at certain areas on the map. And I just think it's a very nice map. We played it on Hardpoint here, as you can see. And honestly, I thought after this is the very first time we play a Hardpoint on it, and I already figured out the rotations, already figured out the spawns. It's very, very simple to understand, which I think is a bonus. The fact that you're in their first game on it, and we sort of figured it out immediately. I mean, you can see from the beginning, look, we're down here at like 50 points or so, and at one point I was like, okay, well, where's the next hill? Where's the next hill? And you can see how the rotations work. Hardpoint is set up very, very nicely on this one. And I think it's the best map. I think it was the best map out of the 3 normal maps that we got to see. I actually didn't play any of the bigger maps at all. I just played, you know, the small maps. I just wanted to get a little bit of a gist of how the game's going to work, because I didn't actually have that much time to play it over the weekend. But Moscow, easily the best map out of the 3. Anybody who disagrees is a moron. But let's delve into the other 2. Miami. Now, I've seen a lot of Miami hate, if I'm honest, and sorry, I am wiping the sleep out of my eyes. As you can tell, I look like I've just crawled out of bed, because I have. Miami, I actually did not mind, and I think a lot of people were sort of complaining about, you know, outskirts of the map, there's a lot of different areas that you don't need. As long as the hardpoint spawns and any spawns for respawn game modes are figured out in that sense, and the bombs aren't like too far out, that does not matter. It's real estate you're not using, so I don't buy that argument. As far as like the darkness goes on it, yeah, okay, it's not the greatest, but honestly, I actually didn't mind the map at all. It's hard to say because I didn't get to play it on any competitive modes. I didn't actually get a chance to play Hardpoint on that one. I think it was one of those that just never came up. I actually don't mind the map though. It's just maybe a little bit cluttered. I would like to see maybe some of the cars in the street maybe move out the way a little bit. But other than that, I actually thought it was okay. There's a couple of lanes you can get in and around behind. Flanks are possible, but it's not crazy in terms of there's too many. I don't know. I think it was alright though from what I played. I didn't mind it at all. My least favourite was Satellite though, but that's probably going to be delving into when we're talking about the guns in a second. It was my least favourite due to the snipers. Honestly, like the sniping for me, we'll talk about that in a second, but it did ruin the map a little bit because you couldn't really go around the outside if you wanted just an AR fight. I think it was mostly due to the head glitches on the dunes were just very frustrating. Like, you could barely see the top of somebody's head and he's ripping it off with a sniper. So I don't think it's a terrible map, but it was my least favourite out of the 3. I think the top playing area is just so essential to get control of, which, you know, rightly so. You need to find your power points on the map, and that's where your games are going to be won and lost on this map. I think it would be easier to say whether it's a good map or not without snipers in there in a competitive environment. Of course, we'll get into the guns in a second. I tell you, let's get into them now. Snipers were horrendous, and Tony said, where will we put it? It'll be somewhere over there. I can't work out opposite. Tony said that we are actually going to be seeing the snipers get nerfed. They were adjusted so they could get some numbers, etc. on the alpha. so I'm not expecting them to be anywhere as powerful, so we'll not talk about it too much. But I don't mind the quick scoping aspect of it. It just seemed very, very sticky when you're aiming in, and that is really the issue. But they have already said that they are going to be sorted out for the beta and onwards, so I'm not too concerned. Let's delve into their SMGs, because I feel as if they were very, very powerful overall, but mainly the 7.4U. I would like to see them dial back just a little bit in terms of their range, but obviously the 7.4U has been talked about by the pros in the original alpha that we've seen the reveal on, and of course during the weekend when we all got to play it. The 7.4U needs to come down. It just needs to. It's very, very powerful. It's very, very straight fire, and there's not much recoil to it whatsoever. And honestly, I think overall the SMGs maybe need the recoil upped a little bit. Yes, okay, they're fine up close. They do melt. They do outgun ARs up close, which is what they should be doing. That's fine, but it just seems as if at range they are a little bit dangerous, and we're sort of going in that territory of the MP5 in Modern Warfare. Maybe a little bit, not quite on that scale, but we don't want to be there whatsoever. So I'm very happy to see if they are going to make those SMGs a little bit less powerful at range. The ARs though seem pretty balanced. The Krug was my favorite. Very, very nice. I think they're very well balanced, the ARs, that you sort of have a little bit of everything. The AK seemed very, very good, but I never got a chance to use it. But I really like the Krug. Overall, I thought the guns were very well balanced to a point. We know the 7.4U is probably going to get a nerf. We know the sniper is going to get a nerf. That is mainly my concerns. They're going to get brought down, and then we'll see where it's at. But overall, I liked it with the higher TTK that we couldn't expect in Modern Warfare. Back to the tryout games, and I'm very happy to see a higher TTK. I've seen some people saying it's too high. Absolutely ridiculous behavior. That is far. It's probably fine. I wouldn't mind it a little bit more, even, to be honest with you. But the higher TTK is nice. It's nice to actually have a gunfight, or able to compete in a gunfight without getting melted immediately. Let's delve into the movement. We're not going to go too deep onto this one though, because things are going to be changing come the better, but it does seem to have slowed down a little bit, which I'm quite happy about. You can't just go sprinting around like a lunatic. You can, to a certain respect, of course, with the slide cancel that is currently in there, but Tony, once again, has already said that we are going to be seeing that one be changed, and it's just nice to see, on a side note, all the transparency in terms of what we're seeing from the Treyarch dev team right now, specifically Tony. So yeah, it's good to see. It's good to see that they are going to be changing these sort of things, and hopefully the sliding issues are not going to be apparent in the full game. However, I didn't think it was that bad anyway. I know some people were figuring it out. I think I seen CDL Intel was the one that was tweeting out about somebody who was found out some fucking crazy slide. So I'm not too concerned about that so far. As said though, the movement overall is a little bit slower, so I'm happy to see that. I'm gonna delve into the skill-based matchmaking thing for maybe even a second and give my opinion in the fact that it needs to stay in ranked, and that's it, full stop. If you want to play ranked, if you want to get sweaty, that's where it should be. If you want to just chill in publics, I think you should allow that. If anybody wants to really, go out and try hard, that's where you should be doing it, in ranked. If you want to chill, just snipe, get used to the maps, etc., that's a public lobby. I think it's the whole thing was blown out of proportion, but I just think it's a very simple fix, and hopefully Treyarch do implement something about that. And last little thing, seen some complaints about the graphics, etc. Who the fuck cares? Who honestly cares outside of the casuals what the graphics are like? The game is not super colourful, but it's not drab either. I mean, I popped a little bit of a filter on there, which I don't think worked when I was recording. I could probably adjust it, but I actually can't be bothered. But I honestly don't think the game looked too bad at all. The graphics, etc., they're just a little bit basic. They're very Treyarchy, aren't they? Which are a little bit more cartoony than necessarily the sim that we've seen in Modern Warfare side of things, where the guns all look, like one-for-one replicas. Whereas this is a bit more, it's just Call of Duty arcade, isn't it? Like that's for me more what Call of Duty's about. But either way, who cares about graphics? Like, have we ever? It makes no difference to it being a competitive title whatsoever. So why would we care about the graphics being great? As long as they're okay and you can see people fairly well, that's all right. Which I had a couple of complaints about on the odd occasion, but I'll see what it's like towards the end of the game. But overall thoughts is that I enjoyed it a lot. It feels really smooth, and you can feel the potential in there for a very, very good game. The guns are sort of going to get there. It's an alpha. As said, things are going to change. They said the sliding is going to change. sort of movement's going to be maybe even slower to a point, because you're not going to be able to slide as much or slide into gunfights as much as you would like to. And I think it just suits competitive quite nicely from the small sample size we've seen. If it continues in this vein, then we're looking very, very good. If we got some good maps in this, I think we're in for a very good year. And I'm excited to play more Cold War. The beta could not literally be coming soon enough, because I'm so sick of Warzone now. I'm just sort of keeping an eye on what's going on in the scene at the moment. I'm just very excited to be playing a Call of Duty that I enjoy again, which has been quite some time coming, to be honest with you. But excited to get into Cold War. Let me know what you thought of the game below. We're going to see the rest of this game play out. Also, leave a like if you could as well. Subscribe if you have not. We'll see you for the next video.
Yeah. One more here.
We've pulled ahead.
Right, trace.
I'm watching the left side. Ben.
Next
That's our left side.
one doors, up a doors.
We've got 1 or 2 coming us, 1 all the way around behind, all the way around behind.
Oh, mid is one sniper.
Contesting hard point.
I've got.
Let's go. You have the party's gratitude.
Wicked.
Watch the capitalism.
Esports makes sense.
Yeah. Except the one I've got Tunn. They have it. You can ask for